Shalom, family, and welcome to this Melchizedek News Emergency Weather Update. I am your sister, Chaya the Elect, on this beautiful Wednesday, March 13th. And I just wanted to get you all up to date on some developing weather across the country. There are several weather watches and warnings, from heavy snow to rain to tornado warnings and watches for the next few days. And it's pretty much in numerous states. So from the West Coast to the Midwest, Texas, Oklahoma, and I believe coming over to the East Coast as well by the weekend. So let's get into some of these weather updates for the day. I hope that you all are well. And let's get into these weather updates for March 13th.
Fire weather outlook, guys, this is really interesting. The warm, dry air, while it's helping and mitigate the severe weather threat, this is what it's doing over here. An ominous warning, of course, for a potential wildfire outbreak in parts of Texas and Oklahoma. Conditions, they are ripe. Gusts of 30+ miles per hour could cause the Smokehouse Creek fire, a historical one for Texas, but also other fires to spiral out of control. Not the news Texas wants to hear on really the heels of this record-breaking season.
It was surprising to see that extreme threat issues yesterday.
That's the highest you can go.
Yeah, critical was a big deal.
Right,
Two weeks ago, it was a critical threat that we saw that Smokehouse Creek fire start. And then with the extreme fire, I think more than 2,000 days since we've seen this for a day 2 outlook. And very much at play, these fires which have been burning because it's created its own environment.
It has. It's the dry fuels. You remember?
Those fires down in Texas are continuing to spread. From my recollection, it's been over 2 million acres burned. There's parts of Oklahoma as well dealing with these wildfires. So we have to be vigilant as to what's going on with the weather.
Got 2 systems we're watching. One that's going to really help to amplify what's going on over the plains. Big dip in the jet lets that energy coming out of the Pacific Northwest. That's going to help to amplify the amount of cold air that's in place and also the upslope over portions of the Front Range of Colorado. Having said that, when you have the marriage of the two here and the placement is just right, that's when you get these beautiful snow amounts. Now, notice those winds start to come in off of the northeast, banking up against the mountains, and they're going to be pretty strong. Now, Britta, you factor in the cold air that starts to move in from that second piece of energy, and then boom, we're in it. Not only for a couple of hours, this is a long duration event, if you will.
Yes, we have a couple impulses that are going to move across this jet, so that stretches out the time frame. I mean, it's like 36 hours of snow for any given point across the Rockies into the plains. This is going to have a big impact. We're talking about over a foot of snow for a lot of suburbs in the Denver metro area, especially if you live to the west of I-25. That's going to be the areas that see the majority of it. The foothills, easily a couple feet of snow. So the placement of this upper level low is key. That's going to bring in that upper level support, but also you talked so much about the upsloping winds. Craig, that's vital to get snow for the Front Range Mountains and also for Denver. You need those winds to go right up.
Wow, she just said up to a foot of snow in the Denver metro area, as well as other parts of Colorado. And I noticed there on their map and what they're predicting for the next 24 to 48 hours were other states like Arizona up in the higher plains. Just looked like several states there, New Mexico, that may be involved with this storm front that's moving in. So be aware and be prepared, family. Let's also go back to Denver.
Now, this storm has the potential to be the most snow that Denver has seen in 3 years. But for things really to come together at the right time, I think, in order for us to see this happen here, I think for some of you, this is going to end up being a bust. Fox weather meteorologist Zach Green is here now to break down the different scenarios. You know, and Zach, before the show, you know, we were talking a lot about that warm pocket of air, and where that pocket of air pretty much ends up sitting is going to determine how much snow Denver and even areas around the metro area are going to end up receiving.
And that's what's really impressive about this.
Yep, looks like Denver is about to get a lot of snow. But let's go into the areas of the Midwest, because I just saw several tornado watches in effect, particularly Arkansas, Missouri, Illinois, Indiana, parts of Texas, Oklahoma. Let's get that update.
We begin with what's going on out there because I think today's your chance to really prep. When we talk about a larger area of real estate, this far out, Storm Prediction Center already issuing that level 3, very likely, that deep shade of almost like a maroon there for the chance for these storms to produce. Again, the winds, the hail, and the tornadoes.
Yes.
But the level 2 goes quite a distance from portions of
It's
East.
a huge amount of real estate.
Yeah, East Texas all the way up into
You're talking
Chicago.
about, probably about 1,000 miles stretching from North Texas up towards northern Illinois.
Yep.
You're talking about the elevated risk. So this is a 3 out of 5 alert for severe weather. The SPC sometimes favors doing an upgrade day of. They're doing this a day ahead.
Yeah.
There's a lot of confidence. We know that this second impulse of energy is going to produce a higher amount of instability and lift. There's going to be a lot more support for these storms. And there's going to be 2 areas here. An area down to the south that has a different trigger than an area up to the north. Now, up to the north, we have the actual area of low pressure. That already naturally produces a ton of lift and instability. And the whole system in general is drawing up a lot of moisture from the south. It's going to be impressive. Yeah, it's not all the time in late winter.
So as you all saw there, that is multiple states. I saw Iowa in there as well, Indiana, Illinois, Missouri, Oklahoma, parts of Texas, extreme winds, possible tornadoes. Also, flooding was mentioned in a number of states that I saw. So let's just stay aware and be prepared because this weather is definitely being weaponized against us. Many people don't have that understanding that men have technology that they can manipulate the weather. Yes, that word in the scriptures is called circumvent. And so that's what we're seeing here, brothers and sisters, because as we have been seeing, it's been nonstop from extreme fires going on, flooding in areas even that don't even receive that type of precipitation, to hurricanes, tornadoes. It's just been extreme, high amounts of snow everywhere. And it hasn't let up. It hasn't let up, as we saw just there in those headlines. I want to bring out something to my sisters and brothers in the scriptures, because the things that we are seeing have been prophesied in the scriptures and in the true gospel. And so many don't know, and I want to show you that. I want to show my brothers and sisters what actually is in the scriptures, because many don't know. And I'm going to read something from the sealed portion. Amen. I'm going to read something in the chapter 88 about how men are going to use technology to circumvent the weather, because that's exactly what they're doing. So in this particular chapter, it says, and starting in 32, and I'm reading from chapter 88, starting at verse 32. Now the judgments that the Father have made is that he shall stay his hand and not intervene in the destruction of nature in the latter days, allowing his children to experience for themselves that which occurs when the laws of nature are circumvented, that means to manipulate, and used by wicked men for their own selfish purposes. And that's what we're seeing, my sisters and brothers. We're seeing the weather being weaponized against us. In 34, it says, now in the latter days, the cause of advancements that you shall make in technology and science shall provide the means whereby the natural atmosphere of the earth shall begin to deteriorate in such a way that the heat of the sun shall be caused to do that which it was not intended according to the natural order which the sun was created. So we see it here in the news, that's what's happening. The weather is being manipulated, and we must be vigilant and pay attention. Thank you all for joining. I'll see you soon. Shalom.